are these people?
Since that's why we have you peeps here.
Yeah. So
I'll let you take it,
so
Colin.
by
my God.
request, we asked you Kit requested to pull up these two clips. So Jerry, do you want to actually, first of all, can you talk about why is this race, as you mentioned, there's 8 candidates. Why is this so significant that you guys are wanting to take this on, and what is your role, or what do you want your role to be as far as coverage of this race
so from my perspective, I actually got involved in the last two mayoral races. I got involved actually as a media producer for 2 mayoral candidates' campaigns, Dr. Amara Enya, and then subsequently the next mayoral cycle, she ran again, and then she bowed out, and then Alderman Bob Fioretti got into the race, and I acted as media producer for him. I've always felt, because I'm a progressive, the best way to channel my talents as a media producer into politics is to get behind and provide media services for candidates that I felt represented my values. Now, unfortunately, Amara was not everything that we hoped she was. Bob Fioretti, when he finally bowed out, he endorsed Rahm Emanuel because Rahm Emanuel promised to wipe out his campaign debt, or write a check to help him wipe out his campaign debt, and Rahm never delivered. So Bob, unfortunately, kind of fell on his sword, and we saw, despite the fact all of these candidates were standing up against Rahm, in the end, were they really? So, I got a little bit burned out, and I got a little bit jaded getting behind candidates that I felt represented my values, but then where I started to see the chinks in the armor. So with great opportunity and gratitude, I got involved with the folks over at Hardlands Media, and they offered me the opportunity to host Chicago Corner and produce stuff there. And as we've been building that channel for the past 2 years with this mayoral cycle, I don't have to get behind one candidate that represents my values. I can cover all of them. And we can cover all of them. We can invite them on the show. We can go out to the mayoral forums to ask questions. We can have aldermanic candidates on the show, which we have. I've already interviewed 2. We've got one coming on next Tuesday. We'll have more after that. We're looking at also exclusively live streaming a mayoral forum being hosted by the People's Response Network to get more eyes on Chicago Corner, but more importantly, to be able to share what's happening and what the candidates represent, good and bad. There are actually a lot of candidates in this race that we saw at the last mayoral forum that Kit and I covered that were in alignment on a lot of important issues, like mental health, reopening the mental health clinics that Rahm Emanuel shut down, addressing the infrastructural deficiencies in many of our South and West Side neighborhoods that, Lori Lightfoot, for all of her identity politicking, is a, lesbian woman of color. She's pretty much turned her back on African-American neighborhoods on the South and West Sides. So I see this as a great opportunity, to your question, Colin, that we can put a spotlight on those that are willing to come on our show, as well as cover stories reported on by local media. We read a lot of news stories. We comment on the corruption. We analyze things. And we also have a wonderful component in our show in the live chat where we interact with our viewers to talk about the stories, or actually ask questions of the candidates that we have on our show, that we've had on our show to interview. So when we were out at the Copernicus Center, Kit and I, we were the only media entity there that set up a spot an hour before the actual forum that was hosted by Ben Joravsky and the 38th Ward Democratic Committee. And we were able to corral. Kit was going to the tables and getting the candidates, lining them up so we could put them in our area there. And we had quite a scandal with our first interview that Kit covered. Willie Wilson, one of his assistants, decided to try to bribe another candidate into dropping out of the race, Jamal Green, who we're very, very excited about. He's a great candidate. Yeah. And I'll let Kit, you can add what you want to add, and then let the interviews speak for themselves.
All right. So before we play the interviews, Colin, you asked why this election is so significant to me and to Jerry. Jerry gave his perspective. Spot on. I have to agree with it. My perspective in looking at the significance of this city election, and look, I get that a lot of people are burnt out by electoral politics.
Right.
I'm not here to change people's minds, but at least here in Chicago, The reason why this election is important is because I personally feel that this city cannot survive another 4 years under the incompetence, thin-skinned, and comedic nature of Lori Lightfoot. She has proven that all what she brings is disorder, chaos, corruption, abuse of power, and ignoring the working class people. She has allowed environmental racism to still continue on as industrial facilities are still polluting the South and West Side neighborhoods. There is lead in our drinking water. Hyper-segregation is still happening in our city. Yes, Chicago is segregated, but we got something more special. It's called hyper-segregation. You also have large real estate developers moving in, buying in large pieces of property and land, displacing families that have been living here for generations. I recently found out that my great-grandfather was born in Chicago in 1890. My roots go deep. There are families who have been here longer than mine who are being displaced. There's also unchecked police corruption and police brutality. Political corruption is still happening. The reason why I'm covering this election and why I'm promoting in Hard Lens Media, and I'm also promoting for people to go to Chicago Corner and subscribe to Chicago Corner and help Chicago Corner on Patreon and so much more, is because the voter turnout in 2019 was the lowest it's ever been. And just so all of you understand the bigger picture for your viewing audience, Lightfoot won the election by a landslide, but it was the lowest voter turnout. There are many Chicago
30% of Chicagoans came out, which meant only 15% of Chicagoans voted her into office.
Right.
And
by
the way,
100% population.
And by the way, folks, look, again, voter turnout's key. And I feel at this point, and this is not me trying to be disingenuous. It's not me saying lesser of two evils. I'm saying anybody but Lightfoot. I'm hoping that in the primary, it's 2 candidates and none of them are Lightfoot. We cannot afford a Lightfoot second term. And just so you know, when we covered this event at the Copernicus Center, Jerry was doing a fantastic job moderating the entire live stream, getting it set up. I told Jerry, hey, I'm going to start posting some pictures so we can get them on the Chicago Corner and Hard Lens Media Instagram page. And I walked out, taking some photos of the empty booths. We interviewed 6 out of the 8 mayoral candidates. The other 2 couldn't interview us because, unfortunately, it's not because they didn't want to. It's because of traffic. And there was a lot tight schedule. So there you go. But I noticed a table getting set up. It was Lightfoot's campaign. And as I'm taking photos, I take photos of Lightfoot's table. And I said, excuse me, is the mayor going to show up here? They said no. And again, at the Copernicus Center, Lightfoot and Chuy Garcia did not attend. And that was really shocking. So I asked them, well, if Lightfoot's not going to show up, can you 2 at least ask questions or answer questions? Because, you know, you're representing the campaign. And they said no. And these were 2 college students. So I said, well, this seems very odd that, you know, you're setting up a table, the candidate's not here, you can't answer any questions to the press, and you're showing up here just as the debate is 30 minutes in. This is suspicious.
30 minutes from starting.
No. It was already, they already set up their table as soon as like the debate is starting. Like, so this was like,
they didn't set it up. I thought they set it up in the 1 hour meet and greet before the forum started. No. After it started?
After.
Oh, I thought you brought me you were telling me. Okay, that's fine. I lost track of the timeline.
No, it's perfectly fine because I know you were up in front and you had like 3 or 4 of your friends visit you at the event. So I know you were talking to them and I was already manning the live stream. So what happened then is one of these interns, under their breath, looks me in the eye and says, "This is a very difficult job."
Yeah.
Of the Lightfoot campaign.
Yeah.
This is a difficult job. Jerry, can you believe that? I mean, honestly, I mean,
it's just, it's overworked and underpaid if they're paid at all.
It's what we saw in 2019 when Daniel and I covered the 2019 election when Rahm Emanuel didn't show up to the first 3 mayoral debates. So, I don't have confidence in Lightfoot. I think that she's showing her true colors by not attending at least the first forum. We'll see if she attends the others. But again,
She's not accountable. She does
Yeah.
not. She does not believe she's accountable. By the way, we call her Rom 2.0, only 2 inches shorter, because she's just a continuation of the neoliberal nightmare that Rahm Emanuel has introduced to Chicago and basically fled office on when he couldn't run again after he covered up the Laquan McDonald execution, as I call it, by the police department. And he knew he wasn't going to win once that was exposed with the FOIA request. But, you know, Lightfoot promised she was going to be a progressive reformer. We believed she would be. I voted for her because she was holding police accountable with police reform. She got in on her identity politics, and it's just more of the same and worse of the same kind of policies that Rahm Emanuel introduced. As Kit said, he's absolutely thin-skinned, unaccountable. She runs things like she's the queen, majesty of Chicago. Reporters who call her out on her shit, she shuts them down. Then she starts talking about how she's only going to be giving interviews to reporters who are Black. And it's like, what does the color of a reporter's skin have to do anything with it? Are you suggesting that people are asking you challenging questions because of the color of your skin? We know they're not. She just likes to dress everything up with the shield of identity politics while she's completely bungled and mismanaged things here in Chicago. True. And I also think that, Chuy Garcia is another one. He ran for Congress, right? The Chicago Teachers Union asked him to step up and represent their interests as a progressive candidate. He asked them if they could wait. They said, no, we need to get stuff going now. So they recruited and endorsed Brandon Johnson, Commissioner Brandon Johnson. And he got into the race early, Then suddenly Chuy re-wins his congressional seat, and now he jumps into the race. My speculation, my suspicion on this is that the elite Democratic Party that runs everything in the United States, for the Democrats, they've got their tentacles all over Chicago and the state of Illinois. My suspicion is they see that Lightfoot is vulnerable, right? To all these other 7 or 8 challengers. So they ask Chuy to get into the race because if Lightfoot's vulnerable, he can either because they're both good soldiers, Lightfoot and Garcia, to the Democratic Party, right? They're both good soldiers. If Lori loses, Chuy's here to basically maintain the same kind of control that the Democratic Party has on everything Kit was speaking to earlier, the corporate mutation and infestation into affairs here in Chicago. Now, if Lori does win, Chuy served to basically help dilute the vote amongst all the other good candidates that got into the race early. So win or lose, the Democratic Party is still going to have their control over Chicago. Not any of these potential candidates who emerged early to challenge Mayor Lightfoot on all of these horrible policies that she's engaged in with her cronies in corporations, banking, and everything else across the city.
Great.
So, yeah. Collin, you brought these two weirdos doing stuff.
So
God, holy cow! Like, I don't know what I'm thinking in that photo. Like, already I kind of look like this is like a WWF match. Like, I heard you're taking on the Undertaker, Kit.
Cream of the crop.
I'm gonna take him in SummerSlam.
Off balance, on balance, doesn't matter.
You requested to bring these 2 clips. So the first one we're going to look at is with Dr. Willie Wilson, who
not Nelson,
I guess you interviewed,
unfortunately.
And by the way, really quickly, Willie Wilson's corrupt campaign colleague who was trying to bribe the Green campaign, his name is Hendon. Kit, I mean, I know you said Henderson, but just so people know, it's Ricky Hendon. Yeah, that's
Ricky
who it was.
Hendon. I realized that too. Like that. Now I realize. Hey, look, folks, I'm only human.
That's right. No, you are. I mean, I just wanted to clarify in case people. And then when I talked to Jamal afterwards, we did. I was pronouncing it, so it's okay. I mean, there was a lot to juggle there, and a lot of players in this mayoral clown car we call Chicago.
Exactly. Right. So let's play it for the people, so you guys can see my interview with Willie Wilson. And again, 10 out of 10. I think he's my favorite person I've interviewed for Heartlands Media and Chicago Corner. I'll take that to my grave. Willie Wilson's right now number 1.
Right. He's a character. We call him Mushmouth Wilson because he's. Oh, go ahead. Well, you'll see why we call him Mushmouth Wilson.
Okay.
He is going to interview Dr. Wilson, and stand by. I think we got a lot of good stuff coming to you, and here you go.
All right. I am honored to at least introduce our first guest. He's running for mayor. This is the second mayoral run that he's running for First time we saw him was in 2019 on the Heartlands Media Channel. I'm proud to introduce none other than Dr. Willie Wilson, who will be joining us. And again, folks, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Chicago Corner. Dr. Wilson, please, if you may. Dr. Wilson, thank you so much for joining us here at Heartlands Media and Chicago Corner. We appreciate your time. For our viewers and subscribers, what are you hoping to at least take away from this town hall forum, and how are you going to make yourself stand out against the other candidates that are vying for Mayor Lightfoot's position?
Well, what we're going to do tonight is we're just going to be ourselves. I'm born down in Louisiana. I'm a sharecropper, 11 sisters and brother, and we work our way up from the bootstrap. I'm just regular people. You know, I'm just going to be myself, and I'm with regular people, and I'm going to stay with regular people and not going to try to be something that I'm not.
Now, in regards to this, it's been reported that Lightfoot will probably not attend this town hall. Will this be a repeat of what we saw in the earlier stages of the 2019 election when then Mayor Rahm Emanuel wasn't attending the mayoral debates or town hall forums before he resigned? Are you going to see, do you think history will repeat itself where Lightfoot will be a no-show?
I'm surprised she's not necessarily coming here, but when you don't show up, that's a sign of weakness. I think the last time the community voted pretty well for her, and this time she's not really coming herself, and she should be here. I mean, these are citizens of Chicago, and citizens of Chicago should be able to hear your thought. What are you thinking about? Where are you going to take the city to? How are you going to get the crime down? How are you going to lower these taxes? You know, these are important things, you know. And so they should be here to answer the people and try to come up with some answers. How you going to fix it? And how you going to make sure you get the morale of our Chicago Police Department and the first responder like the fire department, things of that nature.
And then final question, and this is in regards towards already this election cycle is getting heated up. There's an ongoing fight between you and Jamal Green. And the one thing that a lot of our viewers have been asking, is Ricky Henderson still part of your campaign?
Well, on a piece like that, I don't talk about really that because I had nothing to do with that. That's a personal situation between him and Jamal Green. We got nothing to do with that. They've been fighting for the last 4 years since last election. When I found out about it, you guys knew about it as well. That's a situation they need to work out themselves. But not only that, Jamal Green, I got grandkids his age. I'm not going to say anything to hurt him. You know, he'll learn later on. He'll thank me for it. You know, because I got grandkids, and I'm just not going to say nothing to hurt him. He got a future ahead of him.
So then in regards to Ricky Henderson, that's a yes or no. He's not part of your campaign. He's not associated with you. And if he is, does it call on the fact of Chicago? Like, again, it seems a game of Chicago politics that we are all too familiar with.
He does petition for me. You know, he does that for me, but he has an independent company. You know, and so I don't try to get involved
Cut
with
him
his
loose.
independent, or he don't try to get involved with mine, although I think he realized that feud between him and Lamont is personal. They need to work that out. You know, if I say something against a kid.
What's he know about Lamont anyway?
I could
You
damage
don't
him
know no Lamont.
because I do have people that listen to me, and I would damage him. I don't want to damage him, as I wouldn't want nobody to damage my kid from not knowing such things. You know?
Then in regards to this, I'd like to bring up my colleague, Jerry Vasilatos. This is a project that the viewers of Chicago Corner have been working on. Jerry, I'll give the mic to you.
Thank you. So thank you for joining us, Dr. Wilson. So we at Chicago Corner have been compiling a list of issues that are important to all
That's right,
Chicagoans.
framing.
And we've kind of
There we
irreverently
go.
called it our Chicago Corner Manifesto, but it's meant to unite the city
Perfect.
from
You
north
got
to
the shot.
south, east to west. So we're asking all candidates we meet here today to very seriously take our list of requests that we feel all mayoral candidates should look at, answer yes or no, add your comments. If you could email it back to us, we'd really like to get all candidates on the record regarding a lot of the issues that our viewers have asked us to pass along to all mayoral candidates. So I'm going to leave this with you. Hope that we hear back from you on it. It's nothing we have to talk about right now, but I'm hoping that we can get some of your thoughts, and you can scan it and email back to us so we can get your thoughts on a lot of these issues that are important to a lot of our viewers across Chicagoland.
Well, let me get it to my campaign manager. Let him be in charge of that. I got a debate tonight. I'm not going to be concerned about filling this out.
No, this is not. I don't expect you to do this tonight. This is for you to take with you. This is basically homework for all the candidates. I don't need it right now. We just wanted to make sure that you got it so that you can respond to us, because we really do feel a lot of these issues are very, very important. And we do hope the candidates are responsive to what our viewers across Chicago are hoping to get from a lot of our mayoral candidates across the city.
Well, you can rest assured I'm going to be and concerned about all citizens of Chicago. Chicago is too divided right now. It's too segregated. We need a coalition of white, black, Latina, Asian American, other American to bring us together.
He's right about that.
And that's what we
Other
all be
American.
about, and that's what we always should be about. All citizens.
Pause it for a moment. Pause it for one moment.
Right now.
This is how he's uniting all of the people in Chicago by giving out $100 gas cards to buy their votes every other month. I mean, the fact that Ricky Hendon is trying to bribe. Well, we've told people, hey, take the gas cards, cash them in. It doesn't mean you got to vote for him. But, look, this guy Hendon, who was trying to bribe Jamal to drop their challenges to his petition signatures by paying off Jamal to drop out of the race, it's just business as usual. They're used to buying what they want. Let's buy this candidate and say that we'll pay him and make him whole, if he drops out of the race, so that Wilson is the more powerful candidate with more money, just the same way he feels it's completely acceptable to give gas cards, $100 gas cards to voters in the hopes that they're going to remember him when they go into the voting booth, which has nothing to do. Now, Wilson also leans very right. He's a big Trump supporter too. I mean, we're not tribal, but I mean, if someone's going to be supportive of Trump, there's going to be a little bit of a screw loose up there. So,
but
and he's also very pro-business and very pro-cop.
Are you a proud other American?
Other American. Other American.
I'm sorry. Are you proud other American? Like, what is his voice? He needs a vocal coach.
Reef.
Can we get him one?
Guys, he's a millionaire. He's and I give him credit and I respect that. I just don't know how this guy. So someone told me he might have a learning disability too, which, okay, it's not fair to make fun of his diction, but it's just like the guy.
Yes, it is.
Diction or not. If you saw him during the forum, that forum, when he appeared with all those other candidates up there, it should have been over for him because he could not properly address any of the questions given to him in any way that was clear or made sense.
I did like his response about the Bears leaving Chicago. It's like, no, get rid of them. Yeah. I did like his response.
We all agree on that.
Yeah, we all agree on that one. But Collin and Reef, I actually owe you two an apology. I posted in the Zoom chat a link to something I did in 2019. Okay. And it is probably my favorite collage video we ever did. And yes, Willie Wilson's in there too. I would be wrong not to do this, but if you can, I think we should play Jerry's interview with Jamal Green first. And if there's time, I would like for you to play that video too, because I think Jerry's interview with Jamal Green, it is night and day compared to my interview with Willie Wilson. Now, again, look, I asked Willie Wilson very clearly, like, hey, are you going to get rid of this guy? Not once, but twice. And he gave me a word salad. So obviously.
And he's got a funky salad, don't he? What?
Yeah. And so obviously, like, I don't know what else I could get from him except more of the same. We talked about this on the Friday show after this election this forum that we covered, and it's more of the same. But I think all of you will be thoroughly impressed and really happy to see Jerry's interview with Jamal Green.
This is a candidate. Yeah, this is a guy to watch. I look at Jamal Green and look. I can't officially endorse him on the show. People know I'm behind him, but this guy, to me, he represents my values. Whether I think he's young and he might not have a chance, he's number one on the ballot. He actually won the lottery to be the number one name on the ballot, which is very, very helpful. He introduced an incredible plan the other day called Epic in regards to getting more people in affordable housing, addressing a lot of the issues in the neighborhoods, reopening the mental health clinics. He's very mayoral. And when people say, well, he's too young, it's like, yeah, well, what have all these other older experienced candidates done? Nothing. Right. They've screwed it up even more. So I want a young man. He's in his late 20s, very eloquent, very educated, very smart. And I think to me, he kind of I don't know. He's like a young Harold Washington to me, if I do say so myself.
Well, we'll finish up with Mushmouth here real quick.
Okay.
I don't think he's got much left.
Too divided. You can't fix a city if you leave somebody out.
We're in full agreement, and we thank you and we wish you luck, and we appreciate you meeting with us, and hopefully
and we
have
hope
time
you
to
do
take a
well
look
as
at
a
that.
Barry White backup
All right,
singer.
very good. Thank
But
you.
otherwise, bye now.
All right, that was pretty cool.
I almost did a spit
So,
take.
here's my thoughts on it. Obviously, all of our viewers did.
Okay, I
hear
knew the
his answer in
costume
regards to
designer for
Anderson,
Barry White,
and
so
it looks like there will still
I
be
just
an
asked her how many
ongoing back and
sequins
forth
she had to
between
order.
him
He said
and
too
Jamal
many.
Green. So it's quite clear that, as I said
Too
before on the
many.
show and on Hardlands Media and our other colleagues in independent media as well, that this election cycle is going to be just as intense as any other election that we saw, specifically in 2019. So in regards to Lightfoot, he was very critical of her. So I will say, at least we do appreciate his time.
We all are.
Coming here
We
at
all
Chicago
are.
Corner. So I think.
I know.
What are you?
Lay
some of your
off
thoughts on it?
me.
I'm glad that he spoke
not-
with us.
I'm not
and I
attacking you,
hope
I'm
that he
just
was transparent because I was
punctuating it. I'm punctuating it, kid. I wasn't knocking you for it. That's funny because we
It's
all
all
are.
good.
I feel like I feel like you need a cowboy hat to be taken seriously here, though, kid. You know, you need like
Oh yeah. Cowboy in Chicago.
Yeah.
that
you're like
works
the Man in
swimmingly
Black
well.
thing going on.
Riders of the storm.
exactly.
Riders of the storm.
You need like a bolo tie going on. It'll be all right.
I'm
PowerPoint, no, don't do
Oh,
that. Okay,
There
so
you
we
go.
got
This is
we got
the
this
interview.
guy. You want to just
J-Mo.
hit the button? I'm down. And go.
We have Mr. Jamal Green. Thank you for joining us, Jamal. Pleasure to see you. I understand traffic was tough. We know. So,
Are you
do
saying
know if
Jamal
Mayor
on
Lightfoot was
purpose?
invited tonight, or is she?
Is that just specifically?
So that's how
I
you pronounce his
don't-
name,
I think
Jamal.
that's how I
You know,
pronounce
I
his
would,
name.
I would
Is
say
it?
that they would invite it to all
I
candidates.
feel like he's
for him.
lying.
She's the mayor.
It's
She thinks
definitely
that she doesn't
Jamal.
have to show up
You know?
to things.
He just
But I
wants to be
think as she
fancy.
continues to look at those poll numbers, she'll show up at some point.
So let's talk a little bit about your exciting candidacy. There was some controversy with the Ricky Hendon scandal. We actually had an opportunity to talk to Dr. Wilson earlier, and he did not give a yes or no to the optics regarding Mr. Hendon staying with his campaign, which, with all due respect to him, to us, kind of seemed problematic. I don't want to editorialize too much, but you feel very strongly that the claims in your petition challenge against Dr. Wilson are pretty strong.
They are pretty strong. You know, we've been clear as far as the residency, as far as the pattern of fraud. You know, as far as just the full petition, all of the sheets not being binded correctly, numbered, notary stamped, circulator signatures, etc. So that's pretty strong. I think that we have a great case right now. It's in records challenge as we speak. Right now, the Board of Elections they're checking the signatures. So we'll hear something soon.
All right, so I know that this is going to come up in the forum tonight. This is not a gotcha question, but it's a tough question. But I know you've answered it before. For people who haven't heard you answer it, I want to give you the opportunity to share your answer to this question. Many critics of your candidacy have said you lack the experience. You're young. How do you address those comments to really convince people that those claims are unfounded in regards to the experience you do have, and I think the benefit of youth changing things, younger candidates changing things, because the experienced ones seems to be kind of business as usual.
Well, I think you've answered it for me. Three things.
Well, okay.
Number one,
You extrapolate.
three things. You know, number one, what have the folks with experience done for you? What are the people in this race? Just look at the people in this race. Let's look at what they've done, the elected positions that they have now, or the jobs that they've had before. Tell me, what have they done to make an impact on your community, on your life? And you'll see that the people that has all of this experience, it doesn't mean that they'll have an agenda that's for the people. Number two is, I'm not tainted. That is a great thing, right? It is a great thing that you have a candidate that is not tainted, controlled, puppeted around, that has real policies that really benefit the people, and that is 9 times out of 10 gonna keep their promises because they don't have those ties and they're not tainted by old seats. And number three, yes, I'm young, right? But when you talk about the experience, talk about the experience that I do have. The experience that I do have is in the community, whether that was on behalf of Laquan McDonald, on behalf of young people throughout this city, fighting on behalf of businesses to keep them open or get them back open after they were looted, raising $250,000, forcing Chase Bank, fighting the largest bank in the world, forcing them to give back $1 billion to the South and West Sides. When you talk about the experience, I don't care what it is, housing, violence, mental health, every different issue we can go down the line. I can show you how I've been on the front lines fighting for that without the title. And I think that experience with the people fighting for the people matters more than the experience in government being corrupt.
So let's talk about banking, because you have been at the forefront of an initiative to provide affordable housing for people across all Chicago communities. And you kind of addressed this at your press conference at the petition drop-off. But for our viewers that don't understand the concept of the benefits of a public bank and how it could help Chicago's, not only your economy, but perhaps also help the crushing deficit and our budget shortfalls we're always dealing with. Can you, I know it's a complicated subject, but as Reader's Digest as you can, tell our audience why you're proposing this, why you're so much in support of it, and what those benefits are, so people will perhaps expect the same kind of proposals or support from other candidates.
It's so important. Yeah, it's so important for the city to have a public bank. I mean, we're in a city of in a situation where we need our own economic engine to be able to invest back into communities, and we've been leveraging billions of dollars. I mean, putting billions of dollars in these banks that the bank has been leveraging for their benefit, and investing in private prisons, investing in immigration detention centers, investing in fossil fuel industries. And then you look back and you say, hey, what is their numbers when it comes to mortgages on the South and West sides? 1%, 2% in 6 years compared to the rest of the city of Chicago. So they're also redlining communities, and they're not our partners in rebuilding the city. If we have our own bank, a Bank of Chicago, where we have a 9-member board, 3 put forth by the city council, 3 put forth by the mayor, 3 as elected by the people, that has priority of that puts the priority of money out, whether it is mortgages, whether it is income-based housing development, whether it's small business development. And then when that happens, the profit that comes back from that bank goes right back to city services. It's not investing in the prisons, it's investing back in the people. So that is whether it's paying down our pension crisis, right? Or whether it is being another stream of funding for our underfunded schools. It's up to us on where we want the excess of revenue to go back to, instead of leaving it with the banks and we're not getting anything. It just makes the most sense.
It makes too much sense, which is why it seems all of our political leaders who are connected with crony associates are not really focusing on it. Any new exciting developments in your campaign that we haven't heard about? Because look, you've been leaps and bounds. You got #1 on the ballot, which is very, very helpful. I mean, look, you got a great candidacy, but being up at the top there, people are paying attention to what we're doing, trying to promote candidates. Any other news from your campaign you want to share?
Well, not yet, but we got some exciting news over this next week on how we're going to really increase the voter turnout. And so I'm excited. Our team is doing well. I love being looked at as the underdog candidate because somehow the underdogs always win.
You heard it here first. So I don't know. Hopefully you've heard about this, but if not, Jamal, one really quick question. So we have what we call on our show the Chicago Corner Manifesto. This is, you've heard about it. So this is basically important issues. And I would imagine you probably align with almost everything, if not everything on this list. So we're asking all candidates we speak with, not tonight, but if you could take this with you, it's a little bit of homework. Fill it out, review what you agree with, what you have comments on, email me back at jerry@chicagocorner.tv. And obviously we want to have you on the show again, but we're trying to get candidates feedback on what the other issues are coming from the people across the city of Chicago that you might not know about to address so we can talk about it. So that's your homework, sir. No problem. It's a pleasure to see you. All right, take care.
All right,
at least
fantastic
he sounds like he's got something. He's got things that he wants to do.
He's got his shit together.
You know?
He's got his shit together. He's got a plan.
Yeah. If we say ballot initiatives one more time, Roger Meadows shows up, so we have to be careful. Shit, I said it. God.
Ballot initiatives. Ballot initiatives.
That's right. That man filled my DMs with ballot initiatives. What? But
hell yeah, no.
Him.
Roger Meadows is.
But did he tip $2 for it?
Oh, definitely. Multiple.
Yes. So shout out to Roger Meadows, who does a lot of great work. But so folks, look, those two videos, those two interviews that I picked show what I think is a major issue here in Chicago, and that is you have Jamal Green on one spectrum that's calling for public banks, social projects, social work, and brand new ideas. Yes, thank you, Jerry, for that, about helping out the people of Chicago. But then you have Jamal Green, who not Jamal Green's Willie Wilson.
Dr. Wilson, yeah, Willie Mushmouth Wilson. Mushmouth Wilson.
Dr. Willie Wilson, who acts pretty much like a establishment politician. All right.
Right.
Stooge.
Now, the thing is, obviously, the key thing for the primary is voter turnout. And I see, you're already trying to pull up the video of this interview of this collage interview that I did in 2019. Look, in 2019, we got Lightfoot. A lot of the Chicagoans that I interviewed on the street didn't even know that a city election was taking place.
Right.
I am seeing the dedicated hard work that Jerry and Edward and the rest of the people for Chicago Corner are putting into in regards to educating our fellow Chicagoans. This year, we have a primary and a general election of who's going to become the next mayor of Chicago. We cannot afford any negligence or people being lazy for what's going to happen in this election cycle, and we have to save the city. Okay, so I want to pull up this interview.
We're all Batman in this election. We must save Chicago. We must save Gotham.
There are good people here in Chicago.
Right.
So I want to pull up this Horner Park Fieldhouse collage interview that I did. You'll notice a younger Jamal Green and a Willie Wilson interview that effectively, this is the interview that broke me. This is the interview. Willie Wilson's interview is usually I'm straight. I'm stern. I'm able to keep 100%. That interview broke me. I had to run outside and laugh, but I thought everyone should play it because a perfect example of what we saw in of what we saw in 2019 compared to 2023. But everyone take it easy on me because I didn't have my beard or my long hair back then.
We're gonna look at Baby
Evil
Kit.
Wasn't here
Baby
yet.
Kit.
No.
Yeah.
On July 25th, 2018, a mayoral candidate forum was held at Horner Park on Chicago's north side of the city. 9 candidates showed, except for one.
Mayor Rahm Emanuel. Yet again, Mayor Rahm Emanuel is not here. Again, he's not really participating in any of these forums or debates, as well as previous other forums. What kind of statement do you want to make? What is your response for Mayor Emanuel's lack of participating in these forums and debates?
Did debate here?
Well,
if I had been in his shoes, I wouldn't have came either. Because he's not like.
Well, he's not participating because he doesn't have a good story to tell, and he tries to avoid any opportunity to appear somewhere where he could possibly get booed.
Look, I think his absence from this incredibly important conversation that's happening all over the city speaks volumes about what he cares about and what he doesn't care about.
He's not going to do anything he's not forced to do.
That like Napoleon complex.
I mean, it fits his pattern. I mean, what's my statement on his lack of participation in any democratic exercise?
Well, I have nothing to say to the mayor. I mean, he's going to do what he's going to do.
I mean, I don't have anything to say. He's the incumbent. He has the right to. He's going to definitely have to be a part of it once we're on the ballot.
I think it's really inappropriate for him to not participate in these forums.
I think it's something that people should be aware of, in the sense of you have candidates out there putting themselves out. We're going to say things that might be agreed upon or might not be agreed upon, but we have to convey our message to the citizens of Chicago. And if somebody's not willing to do that, then they shouldn't be eligible to run for mayor.
If you want to be the mayor of this great city, you've got to get out there. You've got to meet people. You've got to listen to them. And you've got to demonstrate a level of compassion and empathy for the day-to-day struggles of everyday Chicagoans. And the fact that he won't come out in public in these kinds of forums and interact with the citizens, to me, is disqualifying.
He gets the office.
Pause it for a second.
Pause it.
Now, keep in mind, she didn't come out to the mayoral forum we covered, but the next day, she had her own forum with her big Lori Lightfoot banner on the stage with Mary Trump, who was Trump's cousin, and somebody else. And you know what they called it? I'm not joking, you guys. It was the Safe Space Forum for women in politics to share their platforms and their ideas focused on Lori Lightfoot's campaign. It was an echo chamber is what it was. A tone-deaf echo chamber. There she is in that video talking about how the mayors have to come out and be accountable. But then the night after she's invited to a forum and she's got the empty table there that kid took pictures of, she's doing her own fucking thing to control the message. I don't want you guys to get YouTube strikes.
We're past 30 seconds. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah. But by the way, folks, look, I mean, Safe Space Forum. Let me let you all on a little secret. Life is not a liberal arts college campus, okay? Life is brutal. You're going to be running into mean, brutal people. You got to get ready to take the hits and deal with them, okay? You can't hide forever.
Do that again, Reef.
The hoes be knowing.
They do be knowing.
The hoes be knowing. The hoes be knowing. Thank you, Anna Banana.
Banana.
PR has very controlled press events. If it's not controlled, he's not there. Like, he's never going to show up to something like this. He needs a control.
He's using his playbook.
He needs the
weird
staged.
One is
he needs paid
Jamal,
applauders.
But once the debate's
who has
happened,
got to
I
like
think
lean in,
we'll be able
and
to
kids
expose
gotta,
Ron
like,
for who he
use
is.
the microphone to get
but I'm
distance.
concerned, Ron,
You know,
close up.
like,
this is it. This is it. This is it.
Close
This
down.
is it. This is the interview that broke me.
Okay, economic equality is not there in fairness. I would look. Something wrong with him mentally. You gotta have something wrong with you. Serious wrong with you mentally. I'm not for sure. I think we need he need to be in that.
got some problem with him mentally, dude. All of these would be great soundboard parts for us.
No. He was like, look, there's something wrong with some. I wasn't prepared for it. I was like, he's gonna say something. I was like, look, there's something wrong with Manuel.
Also, why did he
mentally
X-Men try to like put that in your head? Like there's something wrong with him mentally. These are not the droids you're looking for. Like that's so weird.
Yes.
Why are they weird?
Kit, like Kit, I need you to agree with him. There's something. Agree with me. There's something wrong with him mentally. He needs to be in there. As soon as I said like, thank you for your time. I handed Daniel the mic and I was like, I gotta go upstairs. And I couldn't stop laughing. That caught me off guard. Came out of left field. And then I think good cookies writes, why does Kit look like he wants to hit all these people? I'm showing my stoic face. I'm showing my stoic face. I didn't look like I wanted to hit anybody.
No.
Well,
no. Anything else to add? There's so much going on.
What
in
more
Chicago.
can you say? I mean, we got some good. Look, we got a better batch of candidates this year, I believe, aside from Lightfoot and Garcia. I think J-Mal stands out. I know that there are a lot of people who are in support of Brandon Johnson because the teachers union has endorsed him and drafted him. And I do think that, I lean towards the teachers union as far as really representing what the best interests are for our kids as well as themselves, because I think the teachers are very underappreciated and very underpaid. It was encouraging to hear other candidates at the forum that we covered in alignment on a lot of the issues that Lightfoot seems to be completely oblivious of. So
nice.
Hold on. And let's see. So I saw that, Lainey. It's awesome. Somebody's watching me on TV. So my radio co-host is in a bar and they have Kit on the television.
Hey.
That's right. Hardlands Media is on TV and so much more.
Is that the Can TV the Can TV?
Yeah, it should be. It better be Can TV.
Yeah. I hope it's us.
Also,
does that mean we get to like do like free wings if you like use code Hardlands Media at the like? I feel like we should be doing an ad for the bar while we're like, but we're in the now. You know, like it's that thing.
So somebody's saying, what is CAN TV? It's Chicago Access Network Television. We're on channel 21, mostly at 10 p.m., but we do have a lot of other stuff there too. And then somebody wrote this.
When Kit's on CAN TV, he's known as Can Cabello.
Can Cabello.
Chicago Access Network Cabello.
Yeah, and then there's Yipper who says there's something wrong with Kit mentally. You think after doing this job from 2017, after doing this for almost God knows how many years now, you go a little crazy. 5 years doing this, you go crazy. Crazy.
It's like Nancy. They sound drunk, and you just like you have to keep listening to like figure out. It's that thing. It's like a train wreck of a voice. You just have to look at it. You know.
And with Nancy Pelosi, it's either she's drunk, she had a stroke that hasn't been reported to us, or somebody didn't pick up her pollen or her dentures. So that's all I'm saying. Am I being unkind?
No.
Yeah. No, you're not.
No. So
I do have to say this, given the quality of the candidates aside, I think what you're doing, I think is very commendable in terms of, national politics is important, but I think a lot of us on the left right now are kind of realizing that and I think hopefully the focus, moving into this year is that we need to focus more on local politics. So I really appreciate you guys taking the charge and saying, like you both live in Chicago. I know Danny's in the chat too, so I know he's a part of this too, as well as Lainey. Just, you have to focus where your home is, because these politicians have the most direct influence as to what is happening. And so I really appreciate you guys for, taking the lead on that and kind of showing us, yeah, we need to care about international politics, but they really shouldn't take more of a precedence than what's happening in your town and city where you live. Because ultimately, a lot of the ideas, and especially with Jamal mentioning about public banks, those are the issues that can hopefully kind of rise, on a national and state level. So we need, so those ideas are where, those bigger ideas in terms of the federal level are going to come from. So that being said, because I know, Jerry, you kind of, we don't have you on for too much longer. What are ways your audiences or how can we, at INN kind of support you in terms of the work that you're doing?
Well, two things. First of all, I want to thank you all for having us on the show, me along with Kit. I also want to thank my co-hosts at Chicago Corner, Ed Heller, who is filling in with me now on Tuesdays and Fridays. Our other co-host, Kira, is out on maternity leave. I have a dynamite, amazing support staff there, and I couldn't do it without them. Ed, Kira, if you're watching, I hope you're out there. You know how much I appreciate both of you. I only miss the fact we don't have Kira right now while she's expecting her new baby. And I also want to thank Lainey Peterson, who's jumped in and helped us with Civically Minded Chicago. As far as supporting the channel, I can only ask, please find us over on YouTube under Chicago Corner, like and subscribe. We've got a library of videos there if anybody who's outside Chicago wants to learn more about Chicago. And we have our website, chicagocornertv.com, where as you scroll down, you can see our most recent YouTube broadcasts and our Twitter feed. I just posted some standalone segment interviews with the aldermen we've been interviewing. We also have wonderful comedy and irreverent takes that Ed and I are now doing, especially Lori Lightfoot's message to the city of Chicago at the holidays. We have a lot of fun on the show. I feel we don't just want to be informative, we also want to entertain. And please, as I said, visit our chicagocornertv.com website. We're also on Patreon. We're at patreon.com/Chicago Corner. We are also live streaming on Rockfin. The best thing you can do to help us is to like, subscribe. You can afford $5 a month to help us with our expenses, because as we go into the field to cover live events that we want to cover, we do need to potentially hire freelancers to help us round out our crews to basically provide what I'd like to have high production value, polished video for everything we do at the channel. So follow us on Twitter, Chicago Corner TV. We're on Facebook. We live stream all of our broadcasts at YouTube, Rockfin, through Facebook and through Twitter when we're live, Tuesdays and Fridays at 7:30 p.m. So please join the party in Chicago.
Links are in the description as always for people who are lazy and don't want to put them in themselves. But they're there. You can find Jerry at Chicago Corner, and I think it's at Nightstar Pro, right? On Twitter, I think.
Yeah, you can. My personal Twitter is Nightstar Pro. I'm also, I'm a news junkie, and that's how I kind of got into this, joining 99 Perspectives and Hardlands Media. But I'm also a media producer, director, editor, screenwriter. So that my Nightstar Pro was originally my
Best
at Nightstar
boy.
Pro on Twitter was to support. What's that?
Best boy.
Best boy. Yeah.
Crime
fighter.
The key
social media crime fighter.
Well, what I want to say about Jerry, for those you don't know, Jerry's been working his rear end off for Chicago Corner. For those you don't know, we did a phenomenal overhaul of getting like toys and food on Christmas, before Christmas Eve. And while the frost and deep freeze was preventing some people from showing up, we collected about 144 pounds of canned food that will be turned into 120 nutritious meals for people that need it. We brought in a great haul of toys. For those of you who don't know as well, that again, look, Chicago Corner, it is a YouTube channel that we started from Hardlands Media that is dedicated to cover Chicago stories, because I feel, and Jerry and the entire team there has shown to me, that Chicago is a front and center city that deserves the attention, because if we can win against the corruption here, it is a turning point in the battle for citizens all across this country to get true representation, not only at the local level, but the state and federal. But we got to win here. And the only way we're going to do that is through local media. And the only way we could do that is through independent local media. And you know what? You're going to hear it on the ground first from Chicago Corner. And for those of you who don't know, Jerry Vasilatos is, again, a phenomenal director and producer. And be sure to check out some, about Jerry. I'm sorry, I'm going to give you a shout out here on this one, buddy. But your film Solstice and your other work has been getting a lot of awards. So if you're not following Jerry Vasilatos on Twitter, you better do it. All right. If you don't got it, get it. If you don't get it, go figure out. Or I'm gonna have to. There you go.
Appreciate that, Ken. Thank you.